Greetings, viewers, and welcome back. It's Red-Rupee, of course, after much too long, but it doesn't matter. We're ready to get back on the casting horse right now. Maybe, perhaps, you folks are joining me after taking a break. Maybe a breather from claiming back the homeworld of Ire from the Zerg with your Protoss brethren since Legacy of the Void just released. But you know what? That doesn't matter to us here on Calderis. We're on Civil Frontier, ready to play some Dawn of War. We've got two Titans ready to go at it. Double D's, of course, a moniker for Mr. Tex as the Chaos Sorcerer, taking his power and requisition right out of the gate. And, of course, the Ravener Alpha for Mr. Twalali, as the Tyrannid forces already got his tunnel up there. We, of course, between the Raveners tunneling his flanking ability and the Chaos Sorcerer's sneaky Tzeentch worship, we're probably going to see a rather perfidious battle go on between the two commanders. We've got a lot going on here. Tyrannids versus Chaos, not something I'm super familiar with. Of course, I've got a bit of an insular play style with my Tech Marine and Space Marine play generally. But already we've seen the double Termagants come out here, and oh my goodness, what a way to start off a match. Wow, was that at least seven Termagants went down there to those beautiful Doom Bolts just blasted right into the middle of everything. Little taunting going back and forth there between the two players, but even so, despite that unfortunate opening there for Mr. Twiley, he does have the better part of the map control right now. Of course, that could change quickly with the Sorcerer all gathered up here with his double Heretic and single Chaos Space Marine build thus far. Ravener looks like he's just going to play it a bit evasive here, though. Knows he can't directly engage, and that's some solid play. Good easy decision by Twiley there. It's easy to look at this right now and see that, oh, that's obviously the choice he should make. But oftentimes you'll see that lone hero just kind of want to wander in, and players will feel, oh, I can do a little bit of damage, so I may as well do something. This time he's at least delayed all three of these squads from going out and capping the map as it is, so his Hormagaunts can still run around up top. His Termagants have had some time to get back onto the field. Unfortunately, that early blast caused him quite a bit of requisition and potential map control, considering these Termagants could have been out here at least harassing some of these Heretics or Chaos Space Marines. Tzeentch Worship goes down, gonna buy some time to get these Chaos Space Marines getting some pot shots off. Already purchased that first power upgrades expenditure so far. Aspiring champion on those Heretics. Hormagaunts swarming in, but there's a nice safe bunker here along the back line. And those upgraded Chaos Heretics, of course, can rip apart some Hormagaunts, no problem. Of course, that's going to be a bit more difficult. Oh man, some more long-range Doom Bolts. Very evocative of some magic missiles, because man, that first wave obliterated two full squads. But, you know, we'll have to see how it goes from here. If he keeps hitting them like that, it's going to be a very decisive victory for Mr. Tex. But as it stands right now, oh, there goes another solid volley. Not the full 6 bolts. He was a little bit lower on energy there, not mana. I always want to say mana, but it's energy in this game. Nice consume, getting that energy back up nice and quick, ready to launch some more bolts into this Tyrannid ranged blob. So far, we have 1 generator up for Mr. Twiley and 3 up for his opponent, Tex. Twiley, of course, does have the larger army on the field, though. He brought the warriors out here rather quickly, so he's ready to go in. Has a little bit of the basic synapse on the field to make those Termagants a bit tougher as he charges those warriors headlong into the fray, trying to get that early knockback, knocking over quite a few Heretics there and opening them to a few quick volleys from the Termagants. And as I stalk, those warriors almost take out those Chaos Heretics, narrowly escaping with 30 HP. Now ripping apart that Chaos Sorcerer. He needs to get out of there. He's trying to bait those warriors into staying around a bit too long. Excellent flank there. And almost losing in return the warrior squad. 2 warriors go down. Heretics are on the field taking the Venom sacks, though, so it's not really going to be a big deal. Oh, and the Ravener Alpha going for a bit of AoE here with the Toxic Miasma ability, which causes some constant DPS all around the Ravener. You can see, yeah, those Heretics just falling left and right all around them as the Chaos Space Marines are trying to get into melee with the Termagants. Even though the Termagants and Chaos Space Marines are ranged attackers, they, of course, will lose to the much bulkier Chaos Space Marines that can do some pretty reasonable damage punching these buggies with that power armor. But in a bit of a pincher attack here, deciding wisely to try to get out of there before losing any more models. Getting some extra damage there with the Toxic Miasma. Again, I actually don't use that word gear, but it looks like the cooldown on that Acid Cloud is actually quite low. So hopefully that's going to really enable Twilight to engage these heretics in a much more efficient manner. Of course, with the 2 squads of Termagants, if he can keep those healthy, they can keep those heretics under control pretty well. But man, look at those Doom Bolts go! Rolling the dice on those arcane missiles and nailing it every time. We went magic missiles for you D&D players. We're going arcane missiles this time for you WoW and Hearthstone players. And if you'd like 40k, we'll stick with the Doom Bolts. It's all kinds of purple magic bombs flying into bugs. Look at those warriors. I love warriors, man. They're not the highest DPS, but they got that disruption. They can always knock them over, guaranteed, every time they engage that battle. 466 to 421, however, in a triple cap in Twilight's favor. We got Tex, though, heading into Tier 2 rather quickly. Twilight's going to be way behind on that. He's only got the 2 generators up at the moment, popping a second node up north, trying to keep the VPs well in his hand. He's got not quite a 100-point lead, sitting at about 20 at the moment. Decap going down over here, but the Heretics are going to have to fall back against 2 squads of Termagants. Lots of good predictions on army movements from both sides here so far, keeping both players at bay. Not really a decisive win on either side so far. Some good bleed from on both. Yeah, I mean it's looked pretty solid from both players. As I say that, we see all of the Heretics except for the Aspiring Champion go down right there. Venom Sax goes off just in time for the Termagants to retreat, minimizing any losses there. And Ravener Alpha kind of ruling the map at the moment. Under some green cover. I'm not sure he quite has the angle. It looks like those Space Marines are hitting him full force, and with Tex in Tier 2, we can see already Aspiring Champion coming on, going to enable that Slaughter ability, and Bloodletters coming out as well. So it looks like we're actually going to have a kind of melee-focused build all in all from the Chaos Sorcerer at this point. Twilight claiming, oh, yeah, he's got a Ravener tunnel up here, and sometimes when you build things near your gen farm, something always to keep in mind, when you build things a bit too close to your gen farm, they can block your generators. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes if the generator wants to drop in this spot right here, that tunnel will block it, unfortunately. So it looks like he decided to pop a generator, get his 3rd gen up north. Not always a bad idea to split your gens anyways, in case you're having a hard time holding the map. Of course, he hasn't thus far, so this one might be a bit exposed, but overall probably not going to be terribly impactful, that minor bug in the game. 2-0 cap now finally against Twilight. Tech's going to try to bleed off some of these victory points, getting into Tier 2. I'm surprised Tex didn't go for a quick Blood Crusher or something along those lines. I'm sure he had to have figured he had the advantage in power at this point. Oh, Demon Shield going up, an often undervalued ability here. It really activates a nice little bubble for you to approach ranged armies with all this melee. Unfortunately, Twilight was quick to the uptake there, was able to kite back pretty effectively. Ravener is going to get pushed off. He can't hold at the moment, but he does have Gene Stealers coming out, so again, the melee threats are just going to keep building on both sides, and this is just going to evolve into what's eventually just going to be a big hand-to-hand combat battle, and those can be so risky in this game between the melee skill and knockback abilities of the various squads and units. It's going to be very tricky for both players to judge when they should or should not commit to a battle, because in melee fights, if you commit a little too hard at the wrong time, you aren't going to be able to retreat out of that. You're going to lose a squad if you're not careful. Gene Steel's getting in there, getting their lifesteal activated. Lots of melee coming in. Good timing on the knockback, though. Adrenal Gland Warrior Broods now ripping apart those Space Marines. But now, oh man, it looks like, unfortunately, they're kind of chasing them back instead of changing their targets to the melee abilities. More Doom Bolts go off. Ravener Alpha with that Acid Splatter, though, just upgraded that for the... Oh my gosh, look at him shredding all of those Heretics. There's a mere 5 Heretics returning home out of 2 squads of 9, meaning 13 went down there in those quick few moments of battle. The Acid Splatter actually really cool war gear for the Ravener Alpha. More often than not, you'll see his Corrosive Devourer upgraded or something like that to give him some nice anti-all, anti-vehicle range fire. But the Acid Splatter, of course, gives him some nice power melee, and on top of that, more importantly, we just saw in that last engagement, gives him some nice AoE on top of that. Let's see, it does, wow, 20 piercing in radius 5. I think that's more than most splash damage weapons, but perhaps I'm mistaken. Either way, we saw it obliterate a couple squads of heretics in a couple swings. Also, it looked like, yeah, he upgraded his reinforced chitin, which actually gives him a nice slow R when he does get into a melee battle, and more importantly, or at least equally as important, it does prevent him from most basic forms of knockback. So pretty serious melee blob right here between the high DPS Gene Stealers alongside those Adrenal Gland Warrior Blues and the Ravner upgraded for melee himself. I don't think the Bloodletters and Heretics on their own will be able to stand against this sort of melee power, but of course that problem is succinctly solved by the Chaos Dreadnought, now upgraded with the Mark of Khorne, those dual claws, now moving in with Blood Rage as well. I think, yes, Twilight recognizes right away this is not a battle he wants to be part of. Of course, that Dreadnought's such a danger, especially with the Chaos Sorcerer, as it can just suicide bomb against all armies, go right into your base and just keep punching your face and harassing you, because that Sorcerer can pull it out no problem. As Twilight gets pushed back, we see Tex taking back the map all over the place. Oh man, we actually saw the Chaos Sorcerer go down there to the Termagants. I'm not sure if Tex wasn't paying attention. We missed that engagement right there. Hopefully we'll get it in the picture-in-picture for you. But 216 to 438, Twilight with a strong lead, but really not a solid way to deal with this Chaos Dreadnought at the moment. Of course, he immediately did purchase his Venom Brood, but that alone is going to be very tricky to really threaten the Dreadnought, considering the amount of melee on the field. The Bloodletters, of course, can just teleport right in on those Venom Cannons and slow them down, but of course, it's all about juking and rallying around the various abilities. You can, of course, slow those down with the Venom Sacks. Even though Bloodletters are immune to suppression, they're not immune to slow, so the Termagants can kind of help control those. We'll have to see how both players deal with the coming battles in these tricky situations with all this. Man, look at that acid splatter. Just obliterating 4 heretics a swing. My god. Dreadnought pushed back all the ranged firepower down bottom, and some Tzeentch bolters now upgraded on those Chaos Space Marines as well. That Inferno damage going to shred infantry. A lot of high damage output squads on the field for both sides at this point. Chaos Havoc's now out here on the field as well to add some suppression support to try to keep some of that melee under control and maybe catch some of the ranged squads off guard as well. I think we did see Twilight discover this already, so he does know it's on the field. These mid-game kind of suppression teams can really win you some quick engagements that you would otherwise not expect to do, and I think that's something Tex really needs at this stage in the game, considering, once again, a triple cap. He's been doing alright, causing some reasonable damage to Twilight's squads, but neither side's really lost any squads. Both armies are still building at this point, but the VTs are quickly dwindling for Tex unless he can get back out here. Look at this Ravner just soloing melee squads without even a care in the world. Doesn't have to worry about the knockback from those Bloodletters, doing some splash damage to them. I mean, despite their high DPS and melee skill, they're actually quite frail when you can constantly get some damage in on them. Luckily, all 4 models maintained their composure, all 4 still up and getting healed nice and quickly by that Tzeentch Worship. Good job keeping those healthy on the field, because you're going to need every bit of HP you can against this big, mean Tyrannid blob. The Chaos Dreadnought is really going to be the key for Tex to kind of break apart this Tyrannid formation. He's going to need to make a solid push here pretty much in the next minute or so. I think he's only got an engagement or 2 left with his VPs going down so far, and with the map control that Twilight's been exerting throughout the match, especially with the Tyrannid player going into Tier 3. He doesn't have a whole lot of power once he gets there, but it won't be terribly long before he'll be able to get something like a Carnifex out here to really combat this heavy vehicle. Good move by Tex to really recognize that the Tyrannids were all blobbed up. He does have the tunnel here to try to get back over here and defend his power, and it looks like the Ravner himself should probably be able to deal with this. Unfortunately, that tunnel went down a bit too quickly. Still able to return back to base though, so he's not too far out. Gonna lose at least a single gen right there on that as the Chaos Sorcerer goes into the middle. Now upgraded with the Rod of Warp Fire, so he'll have some Warp Fire to throw out and try to harass some of the approaching melee squads here. And again, we can see the Acid Cloud and that Acid Splatter just wrecking squads in melee. Unfortunately, this might be a bit more than he can handle. He does have to fall back against the entirety of the Chaos forces over there, and the Dreadnought now recognizing that it's fairly unanswered, but unfortunately blood raging into a bunch of nothing, and it's just going to stand there and take some hurt until it gets out of that spell. Once it loses its target, it will kind of just hang out until it finds something else nearby when it's in that blood rage mode. Bloodletter's now warping in, trying to find a good flank position on the Venom Brood. And good reaction from Twilight to not instantly panic and hit the retreat button. Unfortunately, he does lose a model, but if he had retreated into those Bloodletters, that would have easily been at least the end of one of those models also. So, quick reaction, getting to the tunnel, getting back home, only losing a single warrior there, not too shabby. Little stuff like that adds up, especially in these later stages of the games. No way you want to risk losing an important squad like the Venom Cannon, which is really your only way to kind of keep this Khorne Dreadnought in check at all. It's really just looking to hug all the Tyranids that it can and give them all the happy robot loving that they so desperately desire. They don't know that they miss robot hugs, but really, who doesn't? Look at him. Look at him. He's adorable. You don't want a hug from this guy? Don't want a hug from him? Come on. You're lying to yourself. Ravener Alpha looking for trouble. Looks like he's found it, unfortunately, and takes a face full of Inferno Bolts before activating his Acid Cloud once again. Unfortunately, I think he doesn't quite want to tangle with this. Although I may have underestimated his chances against that Sorcerer because he just got chomped right up. Ravener's not feeling too hungry at this point. Just got himself a nice big meal. Look at the couple nice hugs, and that's all the Gene Stealers wanted. 2-0 cap now against Twilight. Tex bringing it back around pretty easily, as both players are now sitting in Tier 3. Twilight can't be far from the Carnifex now at 140 power, and unfortunately for him, Tex not far behind him at this stage. Is going to manage to take out maybe a generator or two, but has to reposition with the approaching Chaos forces. Dreadnought stomping around, Inferno Bolters and Demons all moving in on the Ravener and his Adrenal Gland Warrior Broods. Oh, and a beautiful Synapse Bomb goes off. Gotta be very careful with those Warriors. One getting picked off from both engagements, and that was kind of a perfect split for Tex. Managed to choose just the right units to engage the right sides there, and forces a full retreat on the Tyranid forces. 280 to 122. And here comes the Carnifex. I really feel like you probably want that Venom Cannon on this thing, but we'll see what he goes for. I think just taking out this Dreadnought and being able to keep that out of the engagements is all he really needs at this stage in the game. Nothing else is really a threat to what he has. These Heretics can't deal with it. The Bloodletters can't either. Bloodletters, despite being an excellent, dedicated melee squad, I don't think they can deal with the Gene Stealers and Adrenal Gland Warriors, or just the Ravener Alpha on his own at this point. But Tex trying to keep spread out, trying to keep something on the map for anywhere that the Tyranids might move in on. Just a few unreinforced Hormigons going up for the Northern VP, with the 2-0 cap about to swing to a 3-0 against Twilight. Demon Shield was kind of enough to deter Twilight from moving in on that Dreadnought at the moment. It does, I think, protect vehicles from that range fire, so the Venom Cannons would really just do next to nothing to that thing. It's trying to move in and spot what it can, it looks like. He might be being a bit too aggressive, especially considering there's a Carnifex now on the field, but it looks like it's going to just head right on past that Dreadnought, ignore everything that's out there, and just get in on that infantry, while the Venom Brood gets obliterated by some warp fire. Everything's just charging forward. Hungry Nids, and unfortunately... Oh, he went for the Thornbacks on the Carnifex. Interesting choice that he went there, spawning some Rippers now on top of everything. Just Heretics trying to get some parting shots here, just swarming around. Not really doing much of anything, though, other than getting beat up by a giant spiky Tyranid. Some sort of mega bio creature here, tearing everything up. Havoc's trying to duel with the Ravener, not doing a particularly good job. Ravener picks off a model before they escape into that garrison, and everyone knows Raveners don't know how to open doors, so they're going to be relatively safe in there. It's the claws. They can't really turn a doorknob with their claws. It's a real problem for the Tyranid forces. Everything moving back out here to kind of reinforce this Carnifex coming out. Oh my goodness, and a Land Raider Phobos coming out here shortly. Chaos Dreadnought does look like it's in a bit of trouble though, but there is plenty of red for Tech, so if he chooses to call that thing back, if it gets in trouble, he will be able to do so pretty easily. Let's see if he's paying attention. Tech's unable to pull it back. I'm not sure what he's doing. Oh, he teleported the warriors. What did he do? Oh, he teleported the warriors instead of the Dreadnought. I don't know what happened there. I don't even think you're able to do that normally. Weird bugs happening this game between the power generators and teleporting the warriors instead of the Dreadnought. Well, that cost Tex. That's a costly loss. That bug might be a lot more impactful than a missed generator, but hey, at least one happened for both sides at this point. Can't complain too much. 92 to 193 though. Tyranna formation going down right on top of the Chaos Citadel there, and oh man, that's nasty. Not really doing too terribly much damage. Whoa, actually, I may have spoken almost too soon. Almost took out that squad of Chaos Marines, but luckily that base aura that does exist in Elite Mod keeps the base nuke from being too terrible and minimizes the potential damage from that Tyranna formation. Twiley doing everything in his power, though, at this point. Tex managed to close the gap, but Tex is still on the back foot here if he's not careful, especially with that Dreadnought going down. Phobos is coming out, but it is the frailest of all of the Land Raiders, but it does pack quite the punch, especially for this melee Carnifex. I probably have a hard time getting in on that, but between the Carnifex and the Venom Brood, it can probably deal with the Phobos relatively easily. Ravner is going to get the decap up there. Heretics moving in to support the Phobos with either some worship and repair, or if not both. I hope that wasn't just a charge that got wasted there. Oh no, there he goes. Oh, it does get wasted anyways. I thought initially he got caught on the tank traps, but instead the requisition point. Impervious to all damage, even getting stepped on by a Carnifex. And it looks like the Phobos is just going to slowly waddle its way on up there. Oh man, a couple misfires there from both of those twin-linked las cannons, but they do such heavy damage. Look at them just ripping through that Carnifex's carapace. Doesn't even matter. Spikes don't matter to laser guns. That's what I've learned today. 64 to 147. Still trying to get some caps as his last few VPs go ticking away here. Carnifex does go down at the last second right in front of the hive, unfortunately for Twiley, but now, oh my gosh, everything's moving in on this Land Raider. It's getting obliterated by the Gene Stealers, by the Lictor that's now on the field. Venom Brutal's unfortunately just a bit too close as the Dirge Caster goes off. 50, 40 HP remaining. 19, oh my goodness, and look at that Imperial Abyss opened up right on top of everything. Oh, that was brutal. Luckily for Twiley, didn't really lose that much. And that Land Raider Phobos, that's huge that escaped with so little HP, but that was a beautiful drop of the Abyss right on top of everything. Did he lose? He did lose, I think. Yeah, he lost one of his Termagant squads, and did he lose? He didn't lose the Adrenal Gland Warriors. Those are heading down bottom to deal with some Chaos Space Marines, which they may be able to handle, I think, so long as they don't have their their savagery ability up. Once again, everything's moving in on the Phobos up here. Gene Stealer's perilously low. Lictor realizing he's not really going to be able to take it out either, and Twiley just wanted it a bit too bad, committed to a battle he couldn't win. Luckily, the Ravener was able to get the win down here. Adrenal Gland Warrior Brutes not quite able to deal with these level 4 upgraded Tzeentch Marines. Might even lose the squad if he's not careful. Those Inferno Bolters do such good damage, even on retreat. Taking out the final model. That might be the last blow to Twiley's army. Without the Carnifex and without anything really to stand against this Phobos, which is now starting, well, so long as the Heretics can manage to keep up with it, getting some good repair down on that. They can just hop on inside if they need to. Oh, still taking such huge damage from that acid splatter. And a nice flank again. Capillary tower going up. The Phobos needs to go down right here. Twilight wants to have any hope at all of taking this one back. It was his game to lose, and it looks like he just might do it if he's not careful. Everything's taking such heavy damage. He's throwing whatever he can at this Phobos, and it's just not quite happening. And there it is. The Sorcerer manages to get the teleport and save that Phobos from certain doom as the last few VPs are ticking off. 23 to 58. Will he get the decap in time? It's a 2-0 cap. The VPs are ticking down quickly. Bloodletter's moving in to engage and try to prevent that cap, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to. It's going to stall out here for just a little bit, if nothing else. But now with a second vehicle on the field, there's a Predator out here, and with only an injured Venom Brood out here to contest the field at all against these vehicles, I don't think it's going to be happening. Phobos now getting that patch job, still pretty wounded, but moving back out onto the field. And the Predator, I think, is just going to seal the deal. I don't know what Twilight can do against this, especially with the Phobos moving in on the intercept here. Lictor's going to try to do what he can. Looks like we may have a call-in here as well. I'm not sure if that's without number or maybe just some Raveners. But yes, oh, it is indeed some Raveners, but that does reinforce the Venom Cannon Brood. I think are allowed to, but Twilight drops to GG, recognizing he's not going to be able to do much against the vehicle threats on the field. But woo! What a game that was. Lots of melee shenanigans, some killer Sorcerer trickery as well. Man, some of those Doom Bolts were just disgusting. And that Phobos, man, this is the Phobos that should not have lived. This thing had a death mark on it as soon as that engagement happened, but it managed to get that Carnifex and then get out of there clean thanks to that killer Imperial Abyss there. And I think that was just about all that it took to finish that game out. Twilight had such a solid lead, but Tex brought it back around in that mid to late game. And that was just about it. Anyways, look forward to more casts coming soon. We're going to keep it going, keep it rolling now that I've got my rig back together. What happened before over the summer is I got busy, my computer kind of blew apart, and there just wasn't time to get it back up and running. But here we are. Send me your replays, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I love hearing from you folks. This is Red-Rupee. I'll catch you guys next time.